Alright everybody, how to do? I'm just out here doing some crazy stuff. I just went ahead and did it. I was working on this point and it snapped. It's obsidian, so I'm not too heartbroken over it. But I can still make a point out of this for sure. Maybe this if I'm feeling sprightly, but I'm doing this out of slabs, which is something that I don't normally do. A lot of times what you'll see me working with is stuff more like this to make points. Small little flakes from some of my larger blades and such. This is a piece of Georgetown. Yeah, tiny piece of agate there. But what I've got now, see all those slabs there? Look at these guys. These are from Neolithics. What I'm doing, I was also whacking up some more floor tile there. I think I'm gonna try and make a large blade out of the full piece of tile. Look at this glass. Let me get in the sunlight. I don't know if y'all can just appreciate this for a second. Look at this stuff. Man. I mean, this stuff looks like what I feel like after my third cup of coffee in the morning. Beautiful stuff. I mean, I'm kind of taken with it at the moment. We'll see how I feel about it after I finish a point out of it, because all I've done is just clear the face on it, you know. I mean, nothing fancy, just getting all the saw marks off. And this one I missed a couple, but I'll grind the heck out of that and dive in there, and grind the heck out of that and dive in there. But I got to get this into an actual point shape. It's kind of leftover. It looks like leftover slab, which is fine. But what I'm going to do now is flake this. Now I'm going to explain it to you, and because I only have two hands, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to do it, and then we'll take a look at it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pressure flaker, right, copper tip, it's wrapped up with sinew there, just a piece of oak. I'm going to take my pressure flaker. I am going to abrade the living heck out of this edge. And I'm going to drive flakes at least halfway across this face. I'm going to do the same on each side, basically. So I'm going to do it 4 times. But I'm going to do it once, show you what it looks like, and then I'll do the rest of it. So let me pause this, I'll do that, and then we'll get back to you. Alright, so there we go. One face all flaked up. I'm kind of got a little bit of a hinge there, a little bit of a crumble, but it looks like a crack in the obsidian, which is, focus, come on, which is not that common, but it is a natural material, so it can be expected every once in a while, I guess. But we'll have to work around that and be fairly careful. But I've flaked the bottom too. What you'll notice is it's not very convex. You know, whereas this side, of course, is totally flat. This side has got a little bit, if you count the valleys that are created. It's obviously got a little bit of convexity in that. And that's really what we're looking for. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along each of these ridges and flake these off and start thinning this thing. Once I get this side flake, that is. Start thinning this piece, and once I get it thin enough, then I'll zigzag the edge, and then I'll just feather the flakes in from the edge into my pattern. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to flake this side, and then I'll show you all what I'm talking about. Okay, so there we are. That's both sides flaked. All the saw marks are gone. I've established a little bit of a center line, more so on this one. But basically what I'm going to do now is see all of those ridges. I'm going to go back over each and every one of those and then flake off and take off each of the ridges that I've now created. And what that's going to do is it's going to thin this thing down really well. So you can see I've already kind of done a little bit on the base, not a lot, but I've thinned it to the point that, and you see that every time we flake, especially on a 90-degree angle, you get that sort of up scoop. And this is going to help with a lot of that. So what's going to happen is we're just going to do this until it's too thin to do that anymore. We're going to leave our nice parallel flaking pattern on there, and then we're going to come back with a handheld pressure flaker, and we're going to zigzag the edge and feather that nice sharp edge with convexity into this pattern. So stay tuned. Okay, so here's the difference. Second pass on this side, look how much smaller the ridges are. Right? You probably take another one off there. But look how much smaller and finer those ridges are. And that's basically what I'm doing, is I'm just going in and taking out each of those ridges, using that as a platform to drive another flake. And it's thinning out the piece, but it's establishing a center line, which is making this more and more convex as we go. Right? So I'll do the same thing with the base to an extent. With the base, I really am going to zigzag that pretty early on. I'll only drive maybe another pass of flakes off of that, and then I'll call it good. Come on, focus. So you can see now, if we look at it in the light, it's pretty flat. That's more convex, right? Flat, convex, because it's got that nice center line, which those flakes really aren't going past anymore. And that's really kind of what I'm looking for. So my first pass, I was shooting flakes, overshot flakes all the way until about there, and then it was halfway point. And then what I've done now is I'm practically just shortening up my flakes to do that. Or you can drive short flakes first if you're looking to really make your flake scars stand out. You can drive short flakes first, establish a little bit of convexity, get that shape right, and then drive nice long pretty flakes off of there to get your flake pattern. So I like working slabs. I think they're fun. You know, I mean, it's a good cheap way to produce arrow points, and I use these to hunt, so I mean, I need to have them in plentiful supply. I don't particularly care for obsidian. I like flint better, just because I know that it's what my folks were using traditionally. Now, they did use obsidian, but that's because they traded for it. So in the Ohio Valley, where my people are from, obsidian was a trade item. We got it from Mexico. So you look at like Southern American tribes and things like that, but also too from out west, of course, where most people get their obsidian today. A lot of times too, I also use garfish scales, which I'm going to make some arrow points out of garfish scales here soon, but I've got a whole set of river cane arrows that I'm going to work on, and I'm going to make different foreshafts and just put different points in them. So I'm going to put some obsidian points in them, I'm going to put some garfish scale points in them, I'm going to put some brass points on them. So I'm just going to kind of make a variety, and that's the beauty of making foreshafts. Now, I know a lot of times today people don't like using foreshafts because they don't work as people told them they should. Well, that's because that's not what they're for. They're not supposed to fall out. They're not supposed to do whatever. It's twofold. It's meant to be modular. So you're meant to be able to put whatever kind of point you want on the front, whether it be a blunt point, whether it be, you know, whatever, and go hunting for whatever you like. But also, too, those points are single-time use, right? So because these are used to take life, to shed blood, they're only used once. Like our war clubs, like our blow darts, like all that kind of stuff. They're only shot one time. Well, they're only used to kill something one time. And then they're discarded, they're trash. So, but you can see here, I've still got a lot of work to do. I'm going to take and do this side now. I've done this side, and we'll come back to you after that. Alright, there we go. So both sides, brush this off, both sides are now flaked. You can see it's getting very thin, and this edge is getting much thinner too. So grab a full slab here. You can show you the difference. Look at that. And even in its actual thickness, check this out, right? Check this out. Much thinner, right? And you can see we've kept most of our nice pattern. On this side it's a little bit more random, but I'm okay with that too. I like that. So what we need to do now, I've left a little bit of bulk on the tip, but what I plan on doing is taking my handheld pressure flaker now and essentially doing what we've been doing, because it doesn't require as much force. So I'm going to take a piece of leather, and I'm not going to put any stress, any bending stress anymore, because I've been holding on top, which I know is a no-no, holding on top here. What I'm going to do is put all of my fingers pretty much behind and just cage it, and use it like that. And what I'm going to start doing is just, after I get it thin enough where I like it, then I'm going to zigzag the edge, and we're going to feather that in to this. Alright, so I'll show you that, and then we'll finish up this point. Alright, well, we had to make this point a little shorter than I planned, but that's okay. That flaw that I noticed in the obsidian up here, it went ahead and showed itself and split off the point. So what I've done is just kind of reshape that point. I'm going to have to center it back into place, but it'll still produce a good hunting point. So you can now really see where I've worked this edge here, the convexity that's starting to show up. But basically what I'll do is drive off some longer flakes here. Now that I've got this edge zigzagged, that's all I've done so far. Just zigzag that edge, and voila, there we are. So now, like I said, you just feather it in, and that's what you end up with right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this back edge here, zigzag that, feather that in, and then once that's thinned and properly shaped, then I'll run my flakes over the top of that, so I don't have the basal thinning showing up like you do there, which I don't mind. I mean, honestly, really, these are not display points. These are not pretty points, stuff that's meant to go in cases. These are meant to kill, and that's what I use them for. You can ask anybody who knows me. I don't put any pictures up of my game. I mean, I don't begrudge anybody who does, but generally I don't have enough left to take pictures of by the time that I get out of the woods. So I use the skin, I use the antlers, I use the bones, because I make traditional tools and such like that. But you know, this is how you get all that stuff right here. You attach this onto the end of an arrow, and you throw it a couple hundred feet per second at a deer. So I think my next video, because I think I'm running out of time here, my next video will be finishing this point. So taking this from this slab to this rough preform to this to finished point. And you can watch the other 19 million YouTube videos that show you the exact same thing. But if y'all have any questions, if you have anything that you'd like to see, I'm sort of just doing whatever until y'all start asking questions. So other than that, I think that's about it. Nice little killer right there. If I can straighten this up and, you know, retouch that edge, sharpen it, put some notches in it, and center it, then it'll be a killer. But that's for another video. So I think I'll go ahead and end this video with puppy dog socks. Look at them pit bulls. And my shoes from a native company. Alright. Stay cool.